Alors, donc, on va passer à l'atelier qui a ô combien une grande importance pour la structuration des structures hein, et des cellules des relations internationales. On y tient et on y arrive, hein, même en fin de journée, mais accumulant toute la fatigue de la journée, mais on y tient. On y tient pourquoi? Parce que il y a aujourd'hui une réelle discussion au niveau du ministère, notamment avec des partenaires, sur comment peut-on accompagner ces cellules. Vous avez déjà reçu un petit questionnaire, et je vous remercie de l'avoir rempli, où on vous posait la question sur, aujourd'hui, quels sont les besoins en formation que vous estimez prioritaires là, tout de suite, pour vous accompagner dans la structuration des cellules. Et c'est vrai qu'aujourd'hui, on s'est posé un certain nombre de questions. On y va ? Voilà. On s'est posé un certain nombre de questions et si vous voulez, en output, parce que comme ça, on se prépare aussi à la logique du renforcement de capacité. L'output, vraiment de ce... Micro. L'output, c'est vrai, je le disais tout à l'heure. L'output de cet atelier, c'est de sortir, en tout cas avec des éléments, une feuille de route ou des éléments de la feuille de route pour aider à la structuration des bureaux de relations internationales. Vous allez nous excuser parce que nous utilisons le terme BRI. Bon, après, aujourd'hui, c'est des pôles. On tergiverse aujourd'hui, d'ailleurs, sur l'appellation. Et pour cela, alors, c'est un atelier brainstorming, échange que nous avons imaginé, où nous avons invité alors un croisement de regards entre des expériences européennes et des expériences marocaines. J'invite Madame Professeure, Madame Fatem Zahra Iflahen, et nous aurons en ligne avec nous Farah. Alors je ne sais pas si Farah est là en ligne. Et nous avons également avec nous Madame Nada Trank. Nada, are you here with us? For sure, because she was waiting for a while. Nous avons également... Pourquoi je n'arrive pas à voir les... Si Farah est là. Nous avons alors Nada, Madame Nada Trank de Emuni, Slovénie. Nous avons Karim Mostaghfir, Dr Karim Mostaghfir, de l'Université Al-Akhawaïn Ifran, en ligne toujours avec nous. Et en principe, on doit avoir aussi Farah de l'Université Hassan Ier. Voilà. Alors, comme on l'a dit, l'objectif... Alors voilà, donc je vois Nada. Merci beaucoup de ta patience. Thank you very much for your patience. Alors, il y a 4 principaux volets que nous allons discuter aujourd'hui. Et tout de suite, je vous passe la parole pour modérer également, hein, parce que... D'accord. Je connais de la présentation. Oui, Lucas. C'est une petite toile.
Infodé. Oui.
Voilà.
C'est deux slides.
Par contre, on va commencer juste
avec les collègues qui sont de l'extérieur, parce qu'ils attendent depuis longtemps.
Tout à fait, surtout un peu dans la logique. Donc nous allons commencer par des éléments de la stratégie, parce que l'élément stratégique est très important, parce que l'idée, à terme, comme on l'a dit ce matin, c'est d'avoir une stratégie au niveau national qui va être déclinée au niveau des universités. Et puis, ce sont les BRI qui vont porter sur le terrain cette stratégie. Dans le cadre d'un projet financé par Erasmus+, qui s'appelle MED de IAH, une très intéressante étude a été menée auprès de toutes les universités, ou presque, universités marocaines, pour faire... Oui, tout à fait, c'est ce que je suis en train d'introduire. qui ont mené une étude sur un état des lieux des stratégies d'internationalisation dans les universités marocaines, mais pas que. C'est-à-dire ils ont réalisé aussi un état des lieux au niveau de toute la région sud-Méditerranée, Algérie, Tunisie, Liban et Jordanie également. Et donc, aujourd'hui, nous avons le plaisir d'avoir Nada et Karim du projet MED de IAH qui vont présenter donc, les principales conclusions de cette étude-là Et nous avons également Monsieur Marcello Scalisi, directeur de Unimed, qui va partager avec nous également tout d'abord l'importance d'appartenir à un network et le networking. Ensuite, quelques éléments relatifs aux compétences nécessaires à l'internationalisation aujourd'hui quand on parle d'un bureau de relations internationales. Enfin, nous aurons des expériences marocaines présentées par l'Université Qadéiyad, par Madame Iflahen, vice-présidente chargée de la coopération, et de l'Université Hassan Ier, où on aura donc Farah Nahmi, chargée de mission auprès de la présidence, chargée de la coopération. Et l'idée, encore une fois, c'est l'échange de bonnes pratiques. C'est un échange, c'est un atelier qu'on veut interactif. Et encore une fois, l'idée, c'est de sortir avec des éléments de feuille de route sur les éléments stratégiques et puis opérationnels en termes d'organisation, d'outils à utiliser, de compétences à avoir et à acquérir par les bureaux de relations internationales. Nada, Nada Karim. Je vous vois, vous êtes là. Nada Karim, vous pouvez partager votre écran si vous souhaitez.
Function is not enabled. Yeah. I will also like to share just a flyer of the project, and then we can go to your slides, Karim.
Okay. Anyway, Nada Karim, the floor is yours. Thank you so much. And you can share everything because you have now
You're about to share. Okay. Thank you. Okay, bonjour à tous. I try to understand something in French. I did my best, but really the future of the research project like Horizon and cost are very important. But also the project like capacity building in higher education we are moving now, I think that are for the Mediterranean countries very important. The project that you asked us to present started last year in January. It was written before the COVID time. It's about the internationalization at home and the virtual mobility. And let's say because the COVID started in 2020, this project is even more relevant than it was in the time when we wrote it. One of the specifics of this project is that it's really a huge, I would say a huge in the dimension. As you see here in the Mediterranean, we choose 5 countries on the South Mediterranean. We have 12 partners.
C'est juste à la salle, mais rien à écrire en ligne.
The project itself is somehow ambitious also in the concept and in the diversity of all target groups, because it goes from the strategic level, so level of the university, to the student level. It has 4 main work packages, so 4 main pillars. In the first one, we did the self-evaluation tool and we checked the status of the level of internationalization, especially internationalization at home, at our partners' institutions. Out of this, the institution has to do the strategic and action plan, and it will be checked again in 2 years' time. In the second pillar, we developed 4 webinars, and after these, all the institutions, as their capacity building role, they had to run two round tables at their institution, and somehow involved in these activities the top management, so the strategic level, the teachers, and the administrative staff. In the third pillar, we have the study visits. We did the first one with some of the delays because of the COVID in Slovenia. This was in September, and we planned the next in France, Spain, and Italy in the next half of the year. The study visits are dedicated to 3 topics. It's about how to, let's say, make stronger 2 main offices in the higher education institutions that play an important role in internationalization. This is the Office of International Relations and the Office of the Project Management. And the third pillar is about the intercultural activities. Intercultural activities is related to the pillar 4, when we involved in the project also students. Also the equipment was bought for the purposes to reinforce the offices for the element, the students for the digital storytelling. On our first meeting last week, it was stressed that this didactical approach is also very important for the teachers, so for the lectures.
Recording in progress.
Alors peut-être vous demander à la salle si quelqu'un est connecté au Wi-Fi de la salle, c'est mieux de se déconnecter, pardon. Comme ça on va... Ouais, juste un problème de connexion, on le repasse.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. So thank you very much for your invitation. I'm so pleased that you're to be here with you and with all the colleagues to share with you what we are doing within the framework of this Mediterranean project. So I will be introducing the project in general and the main purpose actually of this program. Then I will be emphasizing, let's say, the main emergent trends that we identify through the survey, mainly for the Moroccan universities. So I'm not going to also to include all the countries, all the institutions that have been participating in this endeavor. And I will be concluding with some remarks regarding potential challenges for internationalization and also some projections. And I understand that we have some time constraints, so I will do my best in also to do this within the allocated time frame. So as you know, this is a Mediterranean project. It has a 3-year duration. So it has a budget of almost 1 million euros. As partner countries, we have 17 partners in this consortium. So from the European Union, we have Slovenia leading the project, France, Spain, and Italy. In the southern Mediterranean area, we have Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt, Lebanon, and Jordan. So the purpose of the project, again, without getting into all the details. So here, this is a project that aims mainly to foster 21st century global skills while promoting specific curriculum-based activities. So that's why we call it internationalization at home. So instead of considering internationalization just from this reductionist perspective of mobility, so we want also to consider internationalization as mainly based on the curriculum, the curriculum as being delivered within the framework of specific learning paths and the learning experiences within each institution. So here the aim is mainly to foster global skills, 21st century skills, through curriculum and extracurriculum activities within the local institutions. And here, obviously, the ultimate goal is mainly to promote success, student success, and also ensure their employability. So again, as Neda has already mentioned, so we already conducted a number of activities this past year. In terms of preparation, so including the design of the data connection tools, the self-evaluation surveys has been conducted by different partner universities, and also the elaboration of the country profile reports. And we did the same also for Morocco. In terms of development, so we had the opportunity to run and participate in a number of webinars, organize also roundtables in specific universities, and also we had, as Neda mentioned, the study visit to Slovenia. And you know that due to COVID-19, some countries couldn't really make it anyway, so to be part of, let's say, physically, to be part of the event in Slovenia. And then obviously the program, as this is a capacity building project, aims also to purchase some equipment and material for what we call friends tea houses, or spaces whereby students could get together and also exchange their international experiences. In terms of quality plans, we are also following strict quality standards, and we have also to make internal evaluation reports. In terms of dissemination, for sure we have our communication dissemination strategy. We are always communicating through a dedicated platform on Chaîne. We have press releases, partner websites, conference panels, and so on. Regarding the planned activities for this coming year, so we have three main actions and activities. First of all, and this is one really fundamental objective of the overall project, is that each institution part of this consortium should have its internationalization policy and strategy, including internationalization at home as one of the main orientations. We still have, as Neda already mentioned, study visits to France, Spain, and Italy. And this is part of the capacity building program. And we want also to run the digital storytelling context for intercultural experiences. And here this is mainly targeting the students in each partner institution. And at the end, we'll be selecting the best storytelling initiatives. And the selected students will be participating in a boot camp taking place in Slovenia in 2022. Regarding the results of the survey, again, I have so many results that I would love actually to share with our esteemed audience, but just due to the time constraints, I would just focus on the most important trends. So this is a survey that involved 18 Moroccan universities. 78% are public. One actually of the main trends. So regarding particularly the internationalization policies and strategies within specific institutions, we found out that 53% of out of 15 universities that responded to this specific question. So they confirmed that they have a document talking about the policy or strategy for internationalization.
But at the same time, anyway, so we noticed that anyway, so almost half of the institutions do not have really a specific internationalization policy or strategy. Regarding the priorities for internationalization, so here we have the top 3 priorities are to create an internationalized study environment at home, to provide our staff with opportunities for international experiences, and to attract international professors and academics. So those are responses out of, let's say, the 12 answers we received for this specific question. Regarding the funding sources, here, most actually of universities are still relying on national and international provided funding opportunities. And let's say, quote unquote, world funded internationalization programs, like for instance, what we are presenting in USO and discussing today, all the Erasmus Plus initiatives. Regarding the most significant barriers to internationalization. So here we notice that there is lack of international partnerships and cooperation, lack of information resources, expertise provided to students and academics, and as third main, let's say, barrier, the lack of language proficiency among students and academics. For the international programs and courses as provided in different institutions, here again, the most relevant, let's say, trends. So we have 64% of the responses. They mentioned that the university anyway, so does have, or the universities or the responding universities do have joint and dual degrees, and 64% of them are also providing education programs to students in other countries. Regarding the countries with home, such institutions do have partnerships. So we see that out of the 9 responses we receive here in Morocco, so 67% of the institutions are collaborating with France, 44% with Spain, and 22% with Italy, and so on and so on. So the most of institutions are collaborating mostly with French higher education institutions. However, regarding actually also the interest to collaborate more with other institutions worldwide, so I think that here this is really interesting, that a number actually of Moroccan universities are now interested actually also to have cooperation and partnership activities with Gulf countries, Asian countries, right? Which is somehow important also to notice and also to mention at this stage. These are just again different issues that we covered. So I think due to time, I cannot really go over all these items. So I'm skipping actually also to this important slide here. So just to see how students are usually prepared for international academic experiences and endeavors. And here you see that the most significant mechanisms being used by universities are internships, thematic meetings, and workshops and meetings. Regarding also the guidance, the social guidance counseling being provided to international students. So here, out of the 5 answers we received for this question, anyway, so it seems that students receive anyway so support in terms of team planning, right, and also group and individual counseling. The barriers that institutions have actually to remove to foster or better foster mobility among students. So here, out of the 9 answers we received for this specific question, again, so we see that there is a tendency for, in a way, so the unawareness of institutional support, or the fear of isolation, and the complexity of application procedures. So those are the most, let's say, significant, or the top 3, in a way, so issues that have been highlighted. Regarding the mechanisms that are in place to involve academic staff and international activities, so here mainly for academic staff, we see partnership in research, publications, and study visits and traveling abroad. So out of the 10, in a way, responses we received, so they have been highlighting mostly these 3 most important and significant mechanisms. The barriers that institutions have to remove when fostering internationalization among academic staff. So here are financial implications of extending studies, complexity of application procedures, and lack of institutional support. So I can skip this one. So the activities that should be considered to be most important regarding program internationalization. So here we talk about program internationalization more than staff or academic mobility and internationalization. So we identified, let's say, top 3, again, activities, including visits by international delegations, outgoing staff internationalization of courses and programs. The mechanisms that are in place to stimulate the institution's performance in organizing and benefiting from international research conferences and similar activities. So here, again, we have international research agreements, international conferences, seminars, and published articles and papers. And just for the services that the institutions have also to consider to stimulate research activities, I think that this is the last point I want also to share with you, at least for this part dealing with the survey. So here we identified, again, one significant trend, which is about pursuing industrial international research partnership for faculty. So I think that this is really an emerging trend that should be considered when developing policies and also strategies for internationalization in various institutions. So just again, how about anyway, so an overarching anyway, so perspective to share with you some of the challenges for internationalization in the Euro-Mediterranean area, but also some potential development perspectives. So we still notice that there is still that much emphasis being placed on short mobility programs. So for a good number of international anyway institutions, internationalization is still limited just to short mobility programs. There is still lack of shared knowledge base on internationalization policy strategies and good practices. So we don't have one unique platform, so whereby we could access such strategies, policies, and good practices. There is also this need for measurement of the impact, the real impact of internationalization project, mainly in terms of employability, using both quantitative and qualitative instruments. And here we still consider internationalization only as an instrument to attract funds, but there are few practices whereby we could see that there is really this shift to a much more intention to internationalization as a way or as an instrument for global skill development. Again, there are still limitations in terms of fragmented credit and degree recognition procedures among so different Euro-Mediterranean countries, and unfortunately limited number of South and North versus North-South initiatives. So mainly at the national level. So again, creating synergies South-South and also within the same country anyway, so synergies among specific higher education institutions for global skill development while fostering this, let's say, practice of internationalization at home. Some development perspective, right? So at the micro level, so probably we should think about the backward design. So starting with the overarching objectives of internationalization. So it seems that we are into this logic of internationalization as just as a means, right? But we don't have really a clear idea about what would be the real goal. So probably we need also to clarify what we want to achieve first of all, right? In terms of global skill development, in terms of employability, among other things, and then work backward to design then the internationalization actions that could help each institution achieve those goals and objectives. Then again, getting from the micro to the macro, I think that we still really need to foster cooperation and the partnerships among universities at the local level. And then for sure, that would help anyway, so then create potential synergies with the rest of the Euro-Mediterranean countries. So again, from micro to micro. Probably we need also a new model of internationalization focused on employability and 21st century skill development instead of just adopting this reductionist perspective of, anyway, short mobility programs. Internationalization across the curriculum, which is the main assumption underpinning internationalization at home as practice. At the institutional level, we still need to foster, in a way, so this culture of developing internationalization strategies, having specific policies in terms also of the management and the managerial structures, and having dedicated structures for internationalization. And then we should not really undermine the centrality of virtual internationalization. And then probably with this evolving practices of
Mr. Mostaghfir, I don't know if he can hear me.
Yes, I will be finishing in 2 minutes.
In less than 1 minute, please. Thank you. Thank you.
So yes, I will respect that. So digitalization of higher education, there is really a great potential here with all the online, so instruments that would facilitate exchange and also different internationalization processes. And just the last slide. So in terms of the macro level, so probably we may think of inclusive internationalization, competence centers among Euro-Mediterranean universities and research centers to identify complementarities and build innovation clusters and synergies, regional knowledge hubs, centralized system for Euro-Mediterranean credit and diploma recognition. We know that this is really fundamental, and we can learn from also other experiences like the Canadian model, innovative funding sources, and use the science diplomacy for intercultural dialogue to overcome stereotypes and prejudices. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your insightful presentation and for your contribution. I had a couple of questions, but maybe we'll leave them to the end. If I could just very quickly, before we hand it over to Mr. Marcello Scalisi, you see, I'm sorry. Yes, I seem to be, yes. Can you hear me now? No. I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for this insightful presentation. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you now. Thank you very much. And I'm so sorry for using so such time for so this presentation.
It's
but
fine.
I want
we kept you waiting and Mrs. Trunk for a long time, so you could take some time to explain what you had to do. I just was wondering, and of course, just to open up how we would like to think about this panel. I was wondering whether what you seem to say about internationalization at home being very much related to curricula is actually something that the first survey has shown, or whether it is your own personal insight on that, and how maybe internationalization at home would be related only to, or mainly to, I would say, to curriculum design, or is it much more related to something else? Is it also a question of mindset? Is it also a question of language of teaching? Is it also internationalization at the most, at the smallest level ever of what we do? And the question, of course, is for both Mrs. Trunk and for yourself. Very quickly, because yours. Sorry, these are the problems of digital learning. So. Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, definitely. This is in relation actually to the results we got from the survey, because again, from the results, it's clear actually so that a number of universities do not have a clear strategy or policy for internationalization, first of all, right? And we are considering internationalization just from an action perspective. without a clear goal, a clear objective, why we are doing anyway so, and putting in such kind, let's say, of internationalization endeavors and efforts, right? Why such mobility programs? Why such let's say, research activities with other international institutions and so on and so on. So I think that what is really missing here is an overarching strategy with clear goals and linking that probably to employability, because this is really the most relevant goal for higher education institutions, right? So we want a closer to foster employability for our students.
One of them at least, one of them.
Yes, yes. Student success.
One of them, in my
right?
opinion. Employability and other things.
Yeah, student success, employability, student success, impactful research, right? Societal development, right? Growth, right? So we can think of so many goals, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So based on those goals, then we can work backward, right? To identify, okay, so what kind of internationalization action then we can pursue, right? And in my view, internationalization at home is really relevant anyway, so to achieve such goals and objectives.
Mrs. Trank?
Yeah, thank you. No, I can just confirm, let's say, because in our mindset, maybe especially before also the COVID, it was just the internationalization is connected with the travels, with the mobility and so on. But in the last 2 years, I think that the value that the institution really appreciate now, it's that they can do a lot at home. So let's say it is really in the curriculum itself. Okay, but still you have a lot of, let's say, students from different cultures in your universities, and you can do this, let's say, diversity, which is a part of internationalization. No, with our colleagues when they are in the study visits in Piran, we spoke about the small issues. For example, like, I don't know, writing the word welcome on the walls in all the languages that the people were in our institutions. For example, this is peanuts in the term of the costs, but it's a really creating an international environment. And being in such an environment, the students will start to think that they are international. And I would like really to confirm what Karim said, that we have to consider internationalization in the term on the perspective of the main aim. This is for students, for sure, employability, either in the national or international companies at home, or even to make the contact around the world. And also what was said before in terms of research. You can't do the research without the contact before. For example, with Karim, we are now friends already for 15 years, okay? And you have to rely, it is institutional based when you are doing the project, but still it is based on the personal, stable relations.
Yes. Well, then, if you allow me, Mrs. Trank, this is what I said. What I meant when I was saying it's about the meaning we would like to give to our partnerships. And when we speak about meaning, we speak about values. So it's the mindset. It is what I call the mindset, which is, I think, way beyond just the curricular design or the language of the curriculum or the institutional or strategic practices. You can have the strategies, they can be written, but if it is not broken down to the smallest unit at the level of your different institutions, well, I think this is not internationalization. And sometimes it's a question of shared values. Don't you agree?
For sure, let's say, but you know, the shared values has to be contextualized, okay?
Definitely.
In the countries, on the countries, let's say, in the institution itself. And maybe Karim didn't stress enough. We have the strategic and the action plan in our project, because just talking about the strategies without having some actions, and the actions are happening in the small activities.
Exactly.
And so we have to produce the strategic plan with the action plan for the next 2 years. And we will check how the action was implemented and how was the impact, let's say, on the strategy, as you told now, as an overarching concept.
Exactly.
Really, this need, as I said before, this need that the internalization is a process that has to be led on the top level. Is the, let's say, but not only with one person as a leader. It has to be a group of the people.
Broken down.
If not, you can't change anything.
Okay. All right. So if I understand you, if I got it well, internationalization is about a vision, and that comes at the top management. It's about values, which means sharing and bringing people together. It's about context, contextualizing and doing things as we can do them together, contextualizing. And then it's about rooting and anchorage, and that means going as far down as possible.